Hey team, Brian Buckosh here, core design engineer for Brunswick Bowling. We've got a vintage nameplate, a reliable solid cover stock, and a brand new core from the ground up. It's Power Torq. Let's take it to the intro. It's been a little while since I've been able to do my video series, which means this ball's available by the time you're watching this video right now. Make sure you swing by your local pro shop and pick one up because our pros have been loving it. I've got some accolades from our social media pages. There are a number of 300 and 800s already thrown on this ball. You can see them scrolling by, and I'm sure by the time you're watching this now there have probably been more, and hopefully there's a lot more where that came from. Because our pro staff has been loving this ball for its usability, its predictability, and its versatility. That's due partly because of the ERT solid cover stock that's on this one. You remember the ERT base cover nameplate from the Dynamic Swing series. It was in a pearl and a hybrid on that series of balls, and it's here now in the solid. This one's modified a little bit because it has the traction sparkle additive in it. That's going to give you a more abrupt mid-lane read than you might expect out of this base cover. Combine that with a brand new inner core. The Torq inner core is new top to bottom. Even though this has a Power Torq nameplate, this really isn't reminiscent of the original so much, although it does try to target that same predictable, smooth, continuous shape, and I think we kind of nailed it. This core has a total differential of 0.054, which means it's going to give you plenty of flare potential, and it's going to go in the upper mid-range in your bag. It's maybe a little strong for some players to be a benchmark ball, but I think it has a benchmark shape characteristic that is usable by all player styles. It comes back to its Columbia 300 roots a little bit because it has a multi-density inner core. Of course, we have the standard core body that you would normally see inside of a Columbia ball, but it also now has a flip donut puck on the bottom. That's a high-density inner piece, and the location of that and shape of that piece are definitely very engineered out so that you get maximum continuation when the ball goes from skid to hook to roll. And I think that you hear a lot of advertisement about, oh, this is a very continuous ball, this is a very continuous ball, but I have to think that this one speaks for itself, both in the amount of scores that we've seen come in already, but also in the amount of continuation that you can visibly see, not really just a marketing ploy. I think if you talk to any of our staffers or any of the players that have purchased this ball, they'll notice that compared to the number of symmetrical balls that have been released recently, this one seems like it has a special amount of continuation, even though the hook window is long and the response to friction is fairly moderate. Of course, this one also has dynamic core. That's the blue stuff that you see when you drill into the outer. That's going to increase the hitting power and basically help you carry through the pins because it has a higher strength to weight ratio than the old stuff that we used to use. So, without further delay, I'm going to take you to a comparison chart and show you how this new Power Torq compares to the rest of the Columbia 300 lineup. Why was I struggling so hard? This chart contains every release in the Columbia 300 lineup for an entire year. They're sorted on the bottom by oil volume, from lightest on the left to heaviest on the right, and on the y-axis by response to friction, with the sharpest responding balls toward the top of the chart and the smoothest responding balls toward the bottom of the chart. You'll notice Power Torq is highlighted in yellow. Power Torq was built with maximum versatility in mind. It's built to handle a medium-heavy amount of total oil volume and fits on the line between a strong and smooth reaction at the back of the lane. For many players, it's going to be a perfect benchmark ball, first ball out of your bag to see what the oil condition is doing. Because it starts early enough but has a long hook window, this is going to show you if the ball needs to start earlier, in which case you can ball up to something like a command solid or an authority solid, or if it's going to be too early reading, in which case you can get out a ball that has a little more length down the lane, like a dynamic swing, a command, or a dynamic swing pearl. For two-handed players, high rev rate players, or low ball speed players, the core cover combo of the Power Torq might be a little too much ball to be considered benchmark, in which case you could use it as the top symmetrical ball in your lineup. This is still going to be super useful on house patterns with a high amount of concentration of oil in the middle of the pattern, or on longer and heavier sport patterns in which control to the pocket is key, especially on the fresher patterns where the back ends are still fairly crisp. Higher ball speed and lower rev rate players can still use the Power Torq as their benchmark symmetrical ball, but adding surface might be necessary to make sure that the Power Torq starts up early enough in the mid lane, because it has a smooth, continuous motion by nature, and its response to friction is fairly moderate. You want to make sure that the ball starts up early enough in the mid lane to complete its hook phase. All told, this new Power Torq is definitely a ball that you can build an arsenal around, and it's one of those pieces that's versatile enough that you're going to want to take it to your house shot league conditions and your tournament conditions. It'll probably be in every bag that you take bowling. That's all the information I have on the new Sky Blue Power Torq, available in pro shops worldwide right now. Make sure you swing by and grab one. While you're here, make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube and Facebook pages, Bowling Buckosh. Feel free to drop a comment below. I'm happy to respond to them when I have time. And of course, check back often because I'll be making new releases. I do that all the time. I'll be making new videos as new releases from the brands of Brunswick become available. So until next time, thanks for watching.